Man, those girls can play some mean basketball. Just one question. You woke? Time to get up. Welcome to Thought You Woke No Speed Limit Podcast. I thought today I would talk about sports a little bit, especially the story about Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese. Now, as you know, LSU is the women's national championships in basketball. They won the game 102 to 85, a high scoring affair between LSU and Iowa, where you saw two of the best players, Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark, go at it, toe to toe. Caitlyn got hers. She got her 30 plus points. She did her thing in the game. Angel Reese did her thing in the game, and they won. Um, what's come up since then is a bunch of controversy over how Angel Reese chose to celebrate or chose to act during the game. And I want to bring this up before we even start. So, as a football player and a basketball player in high school, elementary school, as a football player both in high school and college, it's common for people to talk trash. That's what we call it during the game. Trash talking happens. You know, it's like you want to get in the head of the guy you're playing against, and that's the whole idea of trash talking. You know, I'm gonna beat you, man. Right? Watch this. Watch me go right through you to the quarterback. You ain't no good. Yada yada yada. All that for hours. That goes on during the game. That's a normal thing that happens during the game. Here's what was abnormal about this. Now, both of these women were on the national stage. Angela Reese and Caitlyn Clark. They're both on the national stage. Both women who are capable of playing basketball, but they're women. Caitlyn Clark did this thing where she throws up the symbol, and she'd been doing it for a while. And she was being praised for it in the previous game against, I believe, it was South Carolina. She's being praised for it by uh, some of the commentators. Well, during the LSU game, Angela Reese was constantly doing stuff like this or other things. And so for some reason at the end of the game, the commentators decided to call her tasteless, ghetto, dumb, stupid. A couple other things they decided to call her. But people immediately noticed that. They immediately noticed that you were treating this case differently than you were the week before when Caitlyn Clark was doing the exact same thing. Now, I'm not trying to bring up a controversy because of that. What I'm bringing up a controversy is of how fans react to things. Like I said, trash talking is a common thing during the game. I keep seeing videos talking about Larry Bird. Larry Bird was one of the people most famous for his trash talking during games. Michael Jordan, famous for his. There's no controversy about those two guys talking trash. But when it comes to women, it's always a different story, especially black women. Here he goes with the race thing. Well, it came up, and it's going to continue to come up. Now, what I'm going to tell you this, first of all, is Caitlyn Clark is not a bad person in this story at all. She is not the bad person in this story at all. Angel Reese is not the bad person in this story at all. These are two very good young ladies who are very good at the sport of basketball. And that needs to be honored, and that needs to be praised. There's nothing wrong with what they were doing. They were trash talking during the game. Maybe there was a little controversy about what happened at the end with Angel Reese getting in their face after they lost. But it's still trash talking. It was two hot teams going at it for 4 quarters, something that's missing from the men's game. 4 quarters of basketball. And look at the final score, 102 to 85. 102 to 85. This was one of the best NBA women's games I've ever seen in a while. I had to rewatch it because I didn't get to see the original game, but wow. I mean, to watch how the ladies play the game and how they're shooting them threes, hitting them shots, blocking shots, and all that stuff, man. Man, sometimes the men don't have nothing on the women, and their technique is just off the chain. However, like I said, in the end, we've got two people here, and let me give you how I feel about this. For one thing, a lot of the stuff that's coming out and people saying it's racist and all this, It's coming out from people who are not fans of LSU. They're not fans of Angel Reese. There are people who are outside the thing. Even people from South Carolina are talking out. People from other SEC teams are talking out against Angel Reese. People from Iowa are talking out against Angel Reese and her actions. Where the worst part comes is when you got media guys who are supposed to be neutral to any of this, who are talking out against Angel Reese and forgetting that Caitlyn Clark does the exact same thing. They were praising her the week for her trash talking, but then when Angel Reese does it, you have a problem with it. What I don't want people to do is start making these two girls villains. But people will make them villains because they're not fans of that team also. So it's easy to say Angel Reese was wrong, she was ghetto, she was unsportsmanlike, and then say Caitlyn Clark was sportsmanlike for what she was doing. Angel Reese shook their hands after the game was over with. She shook all of those guys' hands over there on that team. She didn't mistreat them. She's even put words of encouragement out there about Caitlyn Clark. Watch the Pivot. I normally don't mention other podcasts, but watch the Pivot interview. She gave Caitlyn Clark her praise. Caitlyn Clark did the same thing, gave Angel Reese her praise for being the player that she is. So both of these players are class acts, but some of the fans aren't. The media wasn't acting like having a class act. I understand you're a fan and you having your reaction to the game, but that's where we talk about racial issues that pop up during this. Remember a few months ago, or last year, when the volleyball team was playing, a particular volleyball team was playing Utah, and the fans in the stands were saying racial slurs against this girl, not only against her, but her parents that were in the stands with her at the game. Now, those fans were ejected from the game and not allowed back, but it was the very fact that this was happening in the game. Fans and even people we call leaders in the media can say things that are often off-putting because they don't like a certain situation that happens. And then that's where sometimes even racial situations have some racial words to come out. So that means there was some racism there in your heart anyway. As a player myself, I remember times when I stepped out on the football field and I heard the N-word come from the other team. And my teammates would defend me. But at the same time, I remember times when I stepped out on the field and I heard the N-word coming from members of my own team. I can't defend that. It is not something that should be used as a weapon against a person because of the color of their skin. It's not something that should be used, period, on the football field. Well, if you see me as a person, well, I'm not racist because I like you, but they're on the other team, so I can say I call them the N-word. That means that you're really racist, period. I'm sorry, there's no, it's okay because they're on the other team. It's just not okay at all. It is not okay for fans to start making racist statements towards Angel Reese because they're upset because their team lost or because they feel that this was tasteless. So maybe there was an issue with how she did it at the end of the game. Was the issue with how she did it at the game. There's no reason to start calling the girl ghetto, tasteless. Nappy-headed hoe was another one that came out from somebody. But there was a lot of statements that were made that were unnecessary. Because guess what? In your heart of hearts, you're still racist. There was a black player on the Iowa's team. Y'all that probably loved that person, but you didn't love this person. I've heard a story about baseball players who say they walk in, the black baseball players who walk in the stadiums in places like Boston, and they hear the N-word thrown at them. That is an issue in sports that needs to go away. You love them because they play the game, but you don't love who they are. Well, folks, I'm all out of time. I just wanted to bring that controversy up and say this again. Caitlyn Clark's a good player and a good person. Angel Reese is a good player and a good person. But it's amazing how we can create villains out of people we don't like just because they're on the other team. Again, I'm all out of time. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.
You have been listening to Thought You're Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast.